Slay headquarters here. Who is this?
Hello guys, it's Tuesday evening. Haven't you forgot something?
Uh-oh.
Power up the studio. Turn on the mixer. Log into Slay Radio. Join IRC. Turn up the bass. Turn on the mics. Pump up the volume. Load the best for remixes. 64 Amiga. Demo scene tools. All the best hits. And press the magic button. And now, you're all set to welcome our beloved listeners. Ready? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, live at the home of Commodore 64 Remixes on Slay Radio, please welcome our hosts, Slaygon.
Really?
And Ziona.
Oh my god. Dang. What happened, Slaygon?
No, Puko is right here next to me and she's so loving me.
Aww.
She's bumping her head into me. So
oh yeah, I can see that.
I can't even sit still here.
Never mind us, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2018 and still 2018 for a little while, and probably it's the last show of the year from us. That doesn't mean that the last show of the year on Slay Radio, because certainly you
or
can...
from us.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, because we will have a very special Christmas here, but about that later. Today will be special because we will have an amazing special guest whom we waited to be interviewed for a while, and now she felt ready, and definitely she is a she, because she is Kate, whom most of you know, and those who don't, you will definitely know her at the end of at the end of the evening. So no worries. She is a great broadcaster, amazing musician,
and a great broad.
Great broad.
Caster.
Yeah, I'm afraid I really cannot escape from your word jokes and puns and everything else today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are not.
No,
but
not
it's
in
okay.
The least bit.
It's okay, and you can join us on Slay Radio page on IRC.
Hold on, just checking. Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, okay. That means we do the thing on Facebook as well and on YouTube too. So either of the channels work, and you can comment, join us. If you request songs, then please do it on slayradio.org. You don't even have to log in to do that, because then we see all the requests together. Some people sometimes like to request songs on Facebook, but we don't prefer that because it might get lost in the live feed. So we will start the chat with Kate around 9ish, I think, 9 p.m. Our time. Now it's 8 p.m. our time, and I have no idea what is your local time, but you can check it out. So how we compare to each other. We definitely are from Sweden, and
nothing compares.
And it's just the start of the evening, and he hasn't even drink anything yet.
Drank some Coca-Cola earlier.
Oh, have you? Oh, with ice.
Yes,
because
with ice.
Yeah, this modernized 21st century world, we were ordering actually from the screen, not from an actual human. And that means that you cannot just declare that you want your Coke without ice. So I hope that your throat will be okay tomorrow.
Probably.
Yeah. I guess we should probably play a song here, because that's partially why we are here, right?
Oh yes.
Yes, we are. And I prepared a little ditty of Kate that you might not know, those who haven't visited her SoundCloud page. He has quite a few tracks there as well, and all of them are worth to listen, guess what? And this particular one is called Quick Chip, and I figured it's a great thing to start up the show with. So here it comes, Quick Chip by Kate. I think there is just one problem with this track. It's way too short.
Yeah,
it's 2 minutes long.
Say that.
Exactly.
Just as it gets started, it ends.
Yeah, exactly. But you
again,
certainly can re-listen.
Yeah, but then again, the name is Quick Chip.
Well, definitely. And she created it. She created it in a quick rush kind of thing. Let me just post you the link if you want to have it, okay? It's very great that it doesn't start to autoplay it, at least. So yeah, she said about this track that felt sudden need to write a little chip tune whilst waiting on a download that was using all her bandwidth. No distractions, just tune. So quick progressive ARP kind of piece, and if you want to grab it, here is the link. So on IRC channel, Slaygon can post it to Facebook because he's our Facebook caretaker.
Yeah, he just needs to get on IRC first.
Oh, hang on. You are not on IRC.
No, not yet. I was busy getting the video streams and whatnot up and running.
Okay. At least you didn't sit back and relaxed. So that's great. So we are kind of busy here. We are kind of in the middle of something. This is my new favorite saying, and it comes from Dexter. And that's what I'm going to say anytime is looking for me to do something and I don't have time. I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. It's really nice. So we are at the end of the last season at the moment. Well, can't wait to go through the last episodes. Don't spoil it, please.
Was there 4 episodes left?
I think so. I think so. And yeah, really looking forward to watch it later on. So we will see. And hello, CJ Warlock and many more on the channel. people tend to gather after...
Boswank. Kate made that? No! Unfucking believable.
Well, it's not that unfucking believable. Besides,
No, it's not.
Boswank already has some questions for Kate.
Oh, the surprise.
Oh, I'm so very surprised. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And the requester page doesn't refresh itself, but never mind.
No, it doesn't. It never has. That's why there's a refresh button on there.
Right. We really have to redesign this UI so badly.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it at one point. CJ Warlock asks, Ziona, Slaygon, would you sell or give away special Slay Radio time clocks or apps for the smartphones?
That's a great idea. Anything USRT, it translates to wherever the fuck you are.
Yeah. We will see. I just barely
it's like the stupidest app ever.
No,
Yes,
no
it
app
is.
is stupid.
No, yeah, that app would be stupid because there already are a bunch of sites on that there internet.
But this
that
would be
does all of
dedicated
that.
to Slay Radio. How cool is that? Okay. Yeah, let's carry on with the first request of the evening, I would say. Which is, by the way, the newest remix on ASCII. So, something to be introduced. Release date is yesterday, and it's Last Ninja 3. What you just have
Stepped on a frog.
said? Right. Last Ninja 3 in-out mix made by Gerd Ball or Gerd Ball, and of course original made by Ryan. what a nice little track. I really liked it. So,
Yeah.
and guess what? Still, you can vote for it as one of the best remixes of 2018 because
I believe he's a newcomer as well, so you can vote for Gerd as the best newcomer as well if you want to.
yeah, sounds awesome, definitely. And I would say that Gerd has 2 tracks on AKO, I think, for now. No, not 2 tracks, sorry. No, he is not a newcomer.
Oh, okay.
He
Sorry.
did his
My bad.
first track in 2001 and
So
started...
definitely not a newcomer.
Definitely not. And interesting that in 2002 he did 2 tracks, and after that just a big pause till 2012. And 1 track there, and this year he came back with 4 tracks. One of them is rated as excellent.
Wow. Why did I think he was a newcomer?
Probably you didn't really know his name, or, well, it didn't ring a bell.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Maybe, probably.
Because I'm stupid. That's
Probably,
why.
maybe. Yeah, and here I have, several requests kind of lined up, but not entirely.
Hello, boss.
Boz. Hi, Boz. Great to see you. Well, was hoping that you are dropping by here this evening because, well, our guest happens to be good friends with Boz. So probably they could tell a lot of great stories about each other. Let's hope Kate will share some too. But about that later. And Madman was kind of confirming here a request for me because he said he wants to hear the original music from Amiga game Elite. And there are a lot of soundtracks of that game, so I just pointed out like a bunch of them, but he confirmed probably for the first one that's the one he wants to hear. It's a short track and it's Blue Danube by Strauss, so hang on, is it over?
You did say it's short.
It's short. Yeah, that was short. So, yeah, funny stuff. Thanks for requesting this little thing, man. That was fun. Indeed. And of course, of this game, there are many other modules that are kind of themes of classical originals. So, in case you want to check it out, YouTube and Frontier Music, and you will find a Frontier Elite 2 soundtrack playlist. So we were at talking about the Remixer of the Year awards because it's kind of approaching. It will happen around February, And it's going to be fun, I think. But
and the voting ends on, I think, the 19th of January, something like that. So
yeah, it's usually
still a little bit of time. 21st of January.
Yeah,
so still a little bit of time, but please head over and cast your votes.
Yeah, indeed.
If you kind of if you do it now, you can always go back and kind of fix, in quotes, if you redecide or whatever. So you can do that afterwards up until the 19th.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be like once you vote, you cannot get back. But really don't forget to vote, because the higher votes we have, the more accurate result we will get. So posting the link to Slay Radio channel on IRC, and of course Slaygon reposts it on every necessary channels that we have. So it's kind of important. And the next request is made by Igor 974, and I really need to renew my glasses, I think. Yes, Igor. Igor 974, and he wants to hear Zack McCracken by Razor and the Skumets. It says this one is made by Plasma 303. Yes, something about press play on tape, which is coming up next, probably. Not only press play on tape, so yeah, but about the next request a bit later, because,
okay.
This was a kind of nice song as well, made by Plasma 303, and we have something with our database here, because it wasn't really available there, so I had to re-download it.
I nowadays have a to-do list of sorts. I've installed this kind of a cloud type device thingy mabob, and I am in the process of kind of going from Dropbox to using that, and also using that instead of LastPass. And it also has this nice kind of a Kanban board type thing in there that I'm using for taking notes. So I need to kind of start writing this shit down that I need to do at some point.
Yeah, you are not alone with that. I also started to feel like the to-dos are kind of messing with me a lot. There are like a lot of things to do still till the end of the year, and our parents will be here soon as well. So kind of have to do a panic cleanup in the next days. Because still I'm not there where I wanted to be. But never mind. Christmas is coming. Christmas is all around.
Winter is coming.
Well, it's already here. Oh, beautiful snow has fallen here today.
Big, nice snowflakes.
Yeah. So far, it actually didn't really happen in this region till that extent. And I was already envious because Central Europe had snow. So either in Poland, either in Hungary, there were beautiful pictures posted on Facebook, obviously. And we had nothing but wind and rain. But now...
Welcome to Gothenburg.
Now we have snow as well. How great is that?
Yeah,
and of
it's
course,
kind of okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it comes with -5 at night. So that's probably the cons side of that. But Bosbank says, hint, Ziona, you need to do Slaygon in a golden lotus position before the end of the year and before he goes limp. Hang on, I have to hurry then.
Well, I know the lotus position, but what is a golden lotus position?
Ask Bosbank.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, he might have gone very spiritual at the latest weeks, it looks like. And CJ
I'm it's nothing to do with spiritualism. It's him just going lotus position and some PP.
Ah, right. And CJ Warlock asks, Ziona, you clean your panic? So it would be a fresh panic after Christmas. Yes. Even before Christmas, that's my goal. Yeah, I have to clean my panic.
Fresh.
Right. Yeah, it will be a very fresh panic, especially on Wednesday and Thursday evening, I think. You are still chilled, I know, but...
it's not going to change much.
Yeah, I know. It's not the worst thing in the world.
It will when Mother arrives.
That's what I'm afraid of. So no, before her, we have to do several things just to make sure.
No. That has nothing to do with it.
No. Okay, no.
I'm not going to kind of change position on that depending on if the house is clean or not. That has no bearing on that at all.
Yeah, I know your point. Still, I have mine, so never mind me. But I still think that the most pointless thing in cleaning is cleaning windows. This is a very, very pointless thing.
Well, as long as I can see through them and see if it's raining, sunshine, or snowing, or whatever, then I'm fine.
I know you are fine. Probably your mom is not that fine with that, but...
if they start to kind of shade the incoming sunlight in the summer, even better.
You vampire. All right. How about playing something now? Let's get back to the Ples Pray on tape. So the request is actually made by Lord Evil, and he wants to hear David Filskov, Trust Power, featuring Jasper of Press Play on Tape. Press Play on Tape. This is what I'm going to say. Yeah, that sounds better. So, yeah, a longer song after all those 2-minute songs here.
Clean the windows, install Linux.
So I have 6.5 minutes to do that.
Yes.
Cool.
She's spying on us.
Is she? Yeah, that's so lovely. She said that, no, everything is all right. No, it's not all right. The house is in complete disaster yet, so
No,
I'm not going to let guests like this here.
Guests like this? Like my mother?
No, guests, hello, here, like the house is in complete disaster. No, not
it's
complete.
not.
It's a half disaster thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a Slaygon disaster. It's a Slaygon level event.
I don't know if this is good or bad, but probably she has an opinion on that.
Nah.
Nah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh well.
No.
What to say now?
Now Puko is following my hands very intently.
Oh,
What are you doing?
she is the scientist cat from the two, because she always likes to witness everything that we do. Like if I'm brushing teeth, she is carefully following all my movements, what I'm doing and why. Stupid human, why?
Yeah, specifically why.
Exactly, why? Boz, I have seen your house as well. It doesn't really need an introduction. When we fed your cat, you remember? And yes, well, I'm not saying it's that level, but sometimes we can also do that level of disaster. So yeah, it's not really new thing for me at all. Never mind. So yeah,
It's all good.
yeah, it's like I was also raised in a lovely, very loving and chaotic family, so it's all fine.
Lovely mess.
Yes, it's a lovely mess indeed. And well, I'm more happy about this than if I would be raised in a museum, so to speak. So yeah, it's yeah, all kind of things has their advantage. I see at the moment two pointless things. One is the window cleaning part, especially when it's snowing, and the other one is to iron the bath clothes, but my mom loves to do that for some odd reason. And
bed clothes or bath clothes?
The bed clothes,
bed clothes.
you know,
Yeah.
the bed clothes, yeah. Because she claims that, well, it's really nice. I have to admit, it's really nice when it's like nice and warm and smooth, but you know, in 2 minutes it's gonna be the same disaster.
I was going to suggest that you wake up slightly before me every morning and iron my underwear and socks. That would be lovely. Thanks.
Iron your socks especially. And Boswang asks, Oi, pause the show. Explain Celtic family. Messy pigs. I mean, no, we didn't have pigs. However, our neighbors had some for a while, by the way. No, I was raised in a garden house kind of thing, and it's a bit out of the city, and was...
Well, iron the bed clothes? What? And Madman Slaygon wears underwear?
Oh my god, this is so shocking. No, he is sitting here naked.
Yeah,
if anyone has seen the video about Swedes and, well...
Naked!
Exactly. Swedes contradicting the UK, and obviously it's a joke, but they explain it on a very...
In Sweden, we do radio shows naked!
They do everything naked! Yes.
What do you mean tip underwear and socks don't need ironing? If you iron them, they are nice and warm when you put them on.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but the socks are smaller. Bed clothes are freaking big.
They are.
Iron. So it's like it's really I'm sorry, but I don't really, I cannot make myself to iron bed clothes.
Oh, never.
Yeah, it seems so pointless.
Yes,
but
really, it's like you iron them and then you put them on the bed and all that, and then 5 minutes later it's all just gone to shit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But my mom is so lovely. She always does that when I go home. And I always explain to her that I just don't want to keep her occupied with this. I really don't. And she insists because it's so great if you lie down there and it's freshly ironed. Okay, then. Who am I to argue with that? So definitely funny.
Yeah, if that's what you want to spend your time on, go right ahead.
Well, yeah, it definitely was her decision. I want to make her like less and less things, just to make sure. But no,
yeah,
she
that's
insists.
what you say. You're forcing her. I'm not coming over unless you iron my bed clothing.
Oh yeah, this is how I am. And I need your English help here because I was saying that I was raised in a garden house type of thing, but I'm not really sure what is the English expression for a house with a garden kind of thing.
It's a house with a garden.
Okay. So yeah, this is where I was mostly spending my childhood time. We should play a song, I think.
Madman asks, Sienna was raised in a garden house?
Yeah, I was. It's a lovely big house.
Oh, yeah, slightly bigger than a dog house.
Yeah. Nowadays needs some refurbishment, but other than that, it's cool. So, where we were...
That's a good tip, Martin. Tip number 2, I keep socks and underwear inside where it's warm. Damn, why didn't I think of that?
We should take our socks from the garage, right? So it's like, or from the fridge, maybe. So let's play Martin of Martin Land's request, and not Lund, Land. He always claims himself as Martin Land.
Yeah,
Slaygon.
but if you... LND. Yeah, whatevs.
Okay.
Blonde.
Okay, so he
Lind.
said... What?
Lind.
Martin Lind. Sorry, Martin. We reinvented your name in several forms. Gosh, we have 16 minutes and we can welcome Kate. Hang on. So, yes, let's play a song. Martin says...
It's going to be 50 minutes in 5, 4, 3,
Bye.
2, 1, 15. Yeah, my math is shit.
Okay, Martin said, since the original Sith just came up on Lala's tape prior to the show, how about a nice punchy Bomb Jack remix? Pretty please. Well, if it's Bomb Jack and nice and... Exactly. If it's Bomb Jack and nice and punchy, there's only one remix that comes to my mind.
There can be only one.
Yeah, even if there are more.
No, there is only one.
Yeah. That one. and Martin said that he didn't know this version. Impossible. So now you know why you have to know this version of that.
Indeed. It's a good one.
Yay! And, well, I almost believed that Kate is with us, but Madman is freaking on the channel. Madman, please don't. If Kate feels like joining, then she will. But he's really looking forward to hear our chat with Kate, I think. So that's a really nice thing. And CJ Warlock, meanwhile, sent me a message that he thinks not everybody knows about Johannes Bjerregaard and his family's support campaign on GoFundMe. So I will repost this link on the channel, and he thought that it's a good idea to promote it. Definitely we promoted it when the campaign came out, and so far people raised $22,000 for them. It's a really big help for them because they live as artists, and Johannes is fighting recently with cancer, and the campaign is out there for 4 months now, but there you go. Again, the link on the IRC channel, and probably Slaygon can reshare it. So don't forget, you can contribute to Johannes and his family, and all kind of help is appreciated, because they were claiming that it's not only about money. You can even just pray for them if you feel like, or you can contribute with meals sent to the family.
Praying doesn't really help that much, does it?
Yeah, we won't start this religious war now, Slaygon. That's not the place.
I'll put my socks on for them.
Yeah, thank you. That's also something.
That's about as usual.
This topic will be a topic for another show later on, when we will have enough time to think about those researches and what is real and what is not real, and why, and how people think. And if we start that now, guaranteed we will talk a lot.
Never.
No, it never happens. I know. And there we go, with some very nice type of request as well, made by Babar. Does the name Babar say anything for you?
Yeah, it's a cartoon here. I think it's Dutch or something originally.
Is it? I didn't know
so.
that. And it's elephant. It's an elephant.
Yeah.
Right?
With
okay.
With a crown and everything. We used to have a bar called Babar.
Oh. Nice. That's really nice. Okay. Good to know that you know it as well. I didn't know it's Danish though, but someone might look it up. And
Dutch, I said.
Dutch, sorry about that. So, yeah. They are very close to each other anyway. Yeah. No, I'm not taking it that easy. So, there was someone on Facebook missing a Commando remix, and Babar, who might be the same guy or not, was requesting a Commando. Any mix is good, high score preferred. So I lined up a high score remix of Commando. Quite short one actually, but a nice one. It's made by Noviello Pippo.
Yeah, he does nice piano stuff on
yes, exactly.
that he posts on Facebook now, that he plays live and all of that shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that it's available to watch on Facebook as well. Okay. And this is Commando High Score live piano concert made by him.
and sweet.
Yeah, indeed. Very sweet. So this was Commando High Score for Babar, and anyone else who might want to request Commando remixes, well, there might be more even later on, we will see. But we are really starting to approach 9, and we will see when Kate arrives. Maybe one or two songs still.
Oh, she's online on Skype.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great to know. So I guess I will just announce now the next request, which is the request of Bozwank, who already have a lot of questions.
Sorry. Didn't mean to laugh.
No, never. And he says he wants to hear Boz and Panther because it needs more airtime, goddamn. Or just play the other one. They both give love.
The other one?
Yeah, the other one, which is a YouTube link, which I'm not going to play now because I'm paying.
Oh, I thought you meant the other one that Boz did.
And I'm really wondering here why Alastair is Alastair here on the artist name.
That's a good question. I think there was some tagging problem there early on or something, because it's reading the ID3 tag instead of the file name, or maybe Boz fucked it up a bit. No, this is so old that it was actually lifted from somewhere else, so Qued might be to blame for that one.
Aha, because all the songs here are made by Alastair. So Alastair, if you can hear us. And I find it really funny when I want to type Boz to the library here, I consequently type boy because the Y and the Z is replaced on the Hungarian keyboard.
Hey boy.
Hey boy. Yeah, never mind. I think that we will play this song and, well, maybe another one or not. We will see. So here comes Boy and Panther. So yes, this was Alastair Boy bonus.
All
and
a stair.
Panther. Yeah, it very much looks like something is fucked up here, but never mind. And I just told to Boaz that I sent a screenshot for him just so he sees how his name is in the database here.
You are his database.
I have nothing to do with this. I really have nothing to do with this. This is Slaygon's machine.
Yes, it is.
That's why we are where we are now.
Yeah. Isn't it tagged like that on RKO as well?
Well, I have to try to download and check, but
if not, it might be my fault actually.
Oh, what have you done?
I don't know.
Yeah, and we have one more track to go before we can welcome Kate today, which seems to be Kirkulus's request, and he just said he wants to hear any ocean loader too, please.
Any ocean loader is a good ocean loader.
Well, probably not all of them.
Well, most of them at least.
Most of them, yeah. That can work very well, and I picked Morty's version of this song.
Well, that is certainly good.
That's a very safe bet, I think, that it will be good.
Indeed.
So, there you go, Kirkulus, and soon we can welcome Kate. Yeah, excellent Ocean Loader 2 remix made by Mordy. And, well, I wonder how are we doing? Because
Nice
picture-wise, we see not a crazy cat lady, I would say, but almost. Excellent headphones, Kate. And can you confirm that you are like on air with us?
Hello.
There we go.
From the deep dungeons.
Exactly. So it's not even a simple room that she is calling from. Excellent.
Dungeons and kittens.
It's a much larger room than it looks.
Oh, indeed. Oh my God! And
is that a TARDIS? No, much larger than it seems.
Yeah, it's bigger on the inside.
I don't think we've got a TARDIS in here.
And how excellent stuff behind you. A lot of Star Wars related things we see. So just
this is very much our nerdy room. Most of the Star Wars stuff is Nikki's, although one of the masks, of course, I've worn for cosplay.
Oh, excellent. About that, we have to talk later as well. Jesus, there are so many things that we have to talk about that I think that it's a safe bet. Do you have time till 11 or 10 your time?
Probably.
Okay, that sounds great, because I think that we will fill up today's show with all the things that we will talk about. And I don't even know where to start at the moment. Slaygon, you can also comment one or two words.
I think we could start at the beginning.
At the beginning, yeah. I waited for such a comment actually from him. So he is a big help in that case.
I'm extremely helpful.
Yes,
well,
you are.
One of the things I can say first of all is that it is traditional, and it did happen because I can't help myself, and you can ask Boz about this, but before we came on air tonight, we obviously did a little rehearsal, and that was last night, and we agreed between last night and tonight that we would not change anything with our setup.
And you didn't.
The first thing I did when I came in was like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to change this. And I was like, I connected and I was like, oh my God, it's so loud. I'm going to need to turn it down. And then I was like, hang on, I can't hear myself now. Oh, shit.
I was slightly afraid when
the fact that we're talking is good.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's excellent that we can hear each other at least, and we can also see each other at the moment. So it's more funny that way, I think. Especially when we give you signs like now. Now we start to talk.
Yeah, because our setup is still a bit shit.
Yeah.
In regards to that.
It's all our fault, but at one point we will sort it out. We will have like 2 weeks of pause now after we do the show and we finish with this year's work stuff. So
I've actually invited Boz to help me out do all the rewiring and rerouting and all of that shit, because he's done that so many times. He knows the fucking thing backwards and forwards, and you know.
Yeah, probably he will just look at it and say,
you're
you morons.
If I were you, I wouldn't let him anywhere near it, to be honest.
Experience. Oh well.
See, the good thing is that because everyone else is just hearing us, they can't see me doing this, which is me saying I'm not talking about it.
Thought that you have a bubble gum that you started to extend from your mouth. That was the very same movement that you did. Yeah,
that means let's stretch this topic out as far as we can.
Right. Okay.
Or not.
Oh, so Slaygon can be helpful sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
It's very rare, though.
It's very rare, though, yeah. But no, sometimes it happens. Well, all in all, we heard you like dozens of trillions of times on air, right? Broadcasting, and we know a lot of things about you, but I want to make sure that we can learn a lot more about you today, because maybe you weren't in a long live interview yet where we want to know everything. So I think let's start at the beginning, as
How tall
Slaygon
are you?
said.
And
Goddamn
we're already into asking my measurements. Wow.
That's the start. That's the first thing you see. That's the first thing you see. So that's the start.
The first thing we see at the moment is her at the microphone. We don't see her height. I'm sorry.
That is true.
So yeah, I would be really curious. What's your story with computers and retro gaming? Because my guess is that you come from the retro gaming scene originally, but you might contradict me with that. So how everything started?
It's definitely the retro gaming scene, by which I mean really the gaming scene when it first started. I was very lucky in that my father actually was the manager of a video games arcade when I was growing up. So through sort of the early 80s, when he was manager of the arcades, I got to come and visit him on Saturday mornings when he was at work, and basically got free run of the arcade and got to play all the games as much as I wanted to.
Wow.
And at the time, this was all, and this is an age thing, of course, it was all the, Space Invaders, Battlezone, Star Wars, that sort of thing. The sort of, the early sort of video games like that, right through until sort of when, the Return of the Jedi arcade machine came out, and some of the more sort of advanced, colourful ones and things like that. So that's kind of where I got the background in sort of gaming as such, because I just loved it. I really, really gained an interest for it back then. And also to a certain extent how arcades worked as well, It was fun seeing, the machines getting opened up and repaired and things like that. And some of the machines were really old. There was one of those arcade machines that actually ran from cine reels, running inside the machine that projected an image onto the screen, and you drove a car and things like that. It was utterly terrible as a game, but it was fascinating stuff. And so it wasn't a big stretch for my dad to basically one day decide he was going to buy a home computer and bring that home. And at the time, I would have been, this is another aging message, probably about 11 at the time. And so he brought home what he thought was the best computer at the time for, an 11-year-old still in primary school just. So he brought home a BBC Micro.
Oh,
yeah. I was going to suggest a Sony Walkman.
Yeah, talking about home computers here.
He did like his funny gadgets. He bought lots of gadgets over the years. He was the first in with everything like VHS and Betamax players and laser discs and all that sort of thing. Unfortunately for him, he usually chose poorly. He chose the one that didn't succeed every time, so he bought the Betamax because that was obviously going to be the best one, which it may well have been, but it didn't succeed. Then he bought the Laserdisc player, which was the Laserdisc player that didn't succeed, and he also had home cinema reels as well. So we actually had films lying around the house on projector reels for a large part of my childhood. And I wish we had them now. I would have made a fortune on selling the Star Wars reel and things like that,
Wow. Yeah, at that time, like in the 80s, oh my God, that was like such a big thing. I think that... I guess you might have invited like all your friends, and they were wondering. Oh
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
my God.
All my friends were around. Not all of them were into, the video games and things like that. But putting any old film on to watch. I mean, we used to watch all sorts of things. There were some dreadful films we watched. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a film that scarred me for life. I watched that one when I was. Oh, hang on a sec. I've just lost my hearing. You might want to put a tune on for a second. See? Technical problem.
Oh,
hello.
Hi. Okay.
She has extra ears on the top of her head as well.
Yeah, cat ears.
Yeah.
It's really excellent.
Wow.
Okay, we can definitely play a request. And this request I lined up was... Vex Walters' request. He wants to hear 8-Bit Commando and Xenon 2 Mega Blast. It's an Amiga remix. So, soon we will be back. Yeah, I'm sure she does hear when we start talking.
I saw her face that she did hear us.
Yeah, exactly.
I can hear you fine. I need to turn my volume up a little bit now. Yeah, that was me with the fancy headphones. Forgot to charge them overnight. So I'm on my backup headphones.
Well, that's good that you had backup at least.
Well, they look also good. They doesn't have cat ears, though. They don't have cat ears,
no.
though. Yeah.
Just ruins it. Ruins the show.
What are those? Sennheiser 201s?
I'm not going to take them off to check.
That's it.
Yeah, so we're just talking about the arcades and things like that, and the cinema and the reels and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I was very lucky growing up. I was very much basically my father was a real geeky nerd. I think he was like the alpha nerd or something like that. It was really good for me and my big sister and my little brother, and it was really good. But the BBC Micro was bought as a family computer, and the rest of the family got bored of it within about a month or something like that. So then it basically found its way into my bedroom, and I played what little BBC Micro games there were. And someone was asking about Elite. Yes, I had the first copy of Elite, that came out in the BBC, and some other early games like that. And I think we had the BBC Micro for about a year, and what basically happened was that a 12-year-old who shall remain nameless, it was me, spilt tea over the BBC Micro, and basically it was knackered, dead, kaput. But the family basically got insurance to pay out for this unfortunate accident. And I was basically, because I was the only one that used the computer at this point, I was basically asked, what computer should we get? So I was looking through the magazines, and I was looking at all the other computers circa 1986. And I thought, what am I going to get? What can I have? That one looks really good. I want that one. Those graphics are amazing. Amazing. What's that? Oh, it's a Commodore. Oh, right. Okay. Can I have this one? Now, of course, what I ended up getting was a Commodore 64, but what I wanted and what I was pointing at in the magazine was a Commodore Amiga. But this was 1986, and the Commodore Amiga was quite expensive at that time. Yeah. So my parents made an executive decision and basically said she can bloody go to hell. She's getting this little brown beige box.
And what a good choice they made.
And that's what that was, basically. And the very first game I loaded up on the Commodore 64 was a game called Fire Ant, which took 4.5 years to load because it didn't have a fast loader. So it required a lot of patience. And I think that was about 2 or 3 games I had when I first got the thing, including the lovely Commodore sampler tape that had the Christmas demo, the one with all the Christmas tunes and things like that. Yeah. And also, crucially, I had the Commodore Music Maker thing, which was, the music keyboard that went over the computer keyboard. Mm-hmm. So that was almost kind of the start of me getting into writing music of a computery nature.
That's quite early then. So how old were you when you started to write music?
12.
Ah, cool. I mean, that's great. We almost started at the same age. It's like I was 13. That's amazing. But yeah.
So yeah, that was really sort of it. It would be, I think later that year for my birthday, I was allowed to get a new game for the Commodore 64. And the one I chose at the time, again linking to the arcades thing, because I'd seen it in the arcade and I really liked it. And I just had to have it when it came out in the Commodore 64, and that was Green Beret. And that was a poignant game because it was the first game that I ever loaded that had loading music. And the loading music was, of course, by Martin Galway. And it was just one of those moments like, oh my God, it's got music while it's loading. The music is great. stop the tape, listen to the tune, that sort of thing. So I started all that sort of thing really early. And just by sort of, strange coincidence, Nikki, who is my partner, she at the same time, a year older than me, also got a Commodore 64 that year. Oh. And she got, I think it was Rambo was the game she got. And she as well, she really liked the game, she really loved the music. And we sort of, it's one of these strange things that whilst we both had Commodore 64s, whilst we were both at the same school, we were I'm talking about you, sweetheart.
Hi, Nikki.
They're saying hi.
Hi.
There you go.
Hello.
Hi too.
Oh, we've got
nice
Onion
to
up here
meet
as
you
well.
through broadcast. Indeed.
Onion.
You're going to have to take her with you because she'll be interrupting me all the way. This is the cat we're talking about.
Oh.
The golden cat.
No, this is the other one. The golden one is currently barred from the house after he brought home the second bird this month.
Oh. He or she only wanted to take a gift, I'm sure.
He did, yes, but he just about wrecked our router and the floor was covered in feathers, so that was it. No, you're barred for a week.
Yeah, just make a jacket out of it. And send it to Erika.
I would wear that. I wouldn't, because I've got lots of vegan friends. They would not be happy.
Ziona will happily take it.
No, that's a long story. So no, we are not going that way now. I just got some feather jackets fairly recently, and some of them work very nicely and protect from the cold, and some of them are losing feathers. So yeah.
See, I can't help it. I would really like one like that. I think I would really like a sort of feathered jacket.
It's worth to consider.
Obviously in black, But,
obviously. What else? Yeah. Yeah.
But that was really it. I mean, the two of us had Commodore 64s. But we never playground swapped games, unfortunately. It was just one of those strange things. We wouldn't really discover that we both had Commodore 64s at the same time until much, much later. Because we were that whole school thing of where we were in different cliques, you see, so we never spoke to each other.
So when did you start to speak to each other?
About 2 hours ago.
That was quick. Damn, woman, you move fast.
All of a sudden, yeah.
No, we spoke to each other on and off through sort of 20s and in our 30s, but we didn't really get together until properly until sort of my mid 30s. It was kind of like I kind of like you. Yeah, I kind of like you too. So let's get together. Although, as some people will know, I was very bad. I split up with her after a few months, and did so by text as well, which shows you what an utter bitch I can be.
Oh my goodness. We wouldn't think of that. That's nice kind of thing to discuss as well. And
what did you write?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't possibly remember, and neither would I want to either. It would have been one of those dreadful "it's not me, it's you" or something like that.
And yet here you go. 10 years or something?
Yeah.
Amazing.
In fact, we have been married, civil partnership, for 10 years this month.
Wow!
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah, really. It's
amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing, and I heard that seen a lot of pictures basically about events and everything, that you are, so to speak, partners in crime, because you definitely go together to all sort of not Comic Cons, I tend to forget the things, I call them cons when you are wearing all those dresses and everything. And
yeah, we do all those. We do those. And she's been to a couple of the Back in Time lives as well, and she'll be coming to the one next year as well, the concert. So you'll get to see her and say hello.
Amazing, yeah, indeed. It will be about time, I think, after the months, and now it's like years. It's gonna be like 2.5 years next year when the symphony concert will happen. When I actively came up, so that will be very, very high time to meet each other, and looking forward to that. And what do you say if we would play something, maybe something amongst your favorites here? And I gotta dig this thing up. I have a lot of screens here in front of
yes,
me.
you do.
Panic. Yep.
Yeah, you need to get new glasses.
Yeah, I definitely need to get new glasses. I'm sorry. It's really bad. I can see close, but with far away things, I have more problems, so to speak. So
it might not be the glasses, Ziona. It might just be that age thing. It happened to me really recently.
Yeah,
I suddenly realized that I'd gone from that point where I no longer could see at all different ranges with my glasses on. Now I had to peer over them at close range and stuff like that. And I thought, oh my God, I'm now an old crone.
Yeah, I discovered that too. So I actually got myself glasses.
And you
this
never
spring.
wear them.
Well,
yes.
I wear them now.
Yeah, it's anything. It's
For the
short.
listeners at home just now, Slaygon is currently sporting his spectacles, though he is peering over them like a professor.
Yeah, because I'm looking at you on Ziona's screen, which is far away, and since they are on the tip of my nose, I can see my laptop screen clearly. Which is nice.
Yeah, indeed. And
the problem isn't nice, but
no.
it's nice
The funny thing is that anytime he sits next to me and I want to show something for him, I'm showing and hang on, and he puts on his glasses, and obviously it's like annoying, especially like when you really want to show something like immediately. And
wait a second, that's not right.
That's very not right, Slaygon.
So you went through all my TED Talks, did you?
Oh,
I
yeah.
always have them at hand. Yes, you never know when they're going to come in handy.
Yeah.
Before you play your song, I have to just jump in and say something just now. See, this is what happens. See, when you bring another broadcaster onto your show, they just want to take over. I just wanted to say, because this is quite unusual, I've been asked to say hello to Boswank. Boswank, you're getting a specific hello from Nikki, and this is very, very rare and unusual. So, I think you should covet that.
Yeah, Bosbank, respect what you just heard. And I'm going to play for you J Craft and Exploding Fist Bad September remix.
Ooh, J Craft.
Yeah, that was one of your favorites that you claimed to be favorites, right?
It is one of my faves.
Okay, so after we play the song, you can even tell why, I think.
I said, empty your mind. Be forms like water. And you put water into a cup. It becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
my God, that song is good.
I didn't know I could do that. Both of those things at the same time.
Yeah, you are polyphonic now.
You need to try harder. You need to work on to get diplophonic like me.
Yes. Yeah, speaking of which, how did you get that great, nice voice of yours?
Do you know, it's very strange because one of the reasons I put off really going on air or doing any podcastings for a very long time was because I thought my voice is just terrible and will not work on radio at all. And so that was one of the reasons why I put it off for so long. Now, part of that, of course, was because I didn't have a decent microphone. I didn't really get a decent microphone until we had been into doing the BBB, as was then, for a little while. But it was actually when I started doing shows on another radio station that I used to get quite confused because the guy that came on after me on the show used to come on his classic British DJ voice. He'd be like, "Oh, thank you very much. That was Kate doing the last show there, and oh, she's got such an amazing voice," and you know, all this kind of thing. I was like, what? But no. I used to sound quite different. It was a very sort of clean sounding voice I used to have. And then 15 years ago, maybe longer, I got a very bad throat infection. Oh. And they required to do a thing to basically go in and sort out the infection. And that was great. And they did it. But it left me with this voice that... it doesn't do very well my doctor said if I'm pushing too much air through my esophagus, then it gets all raspy and diplophonic, which is where you seem to hear two pitches at the same time. So she basically said to me, what you need to do is you basically need to take your voice down a little and not push out so much air when you're speaking. But the problem is this tends to affect people when they hear my voice, particularly on the radio.
It's a cutthroat business.
Yes, because you start to speak very pleasantly then and less loud, but then it really, I cannot really copy that. Yours is smoother. Yes, exactly. Smoother and more erotic.
It's not intentional.
Oh, well. Yeah, speaking of which, well, I tend to get in history like linearly, but I think we might even ask how this broadcasting thing came to your life. It happened way later, I think, than the first musical...
Yeah, I mean, it's only within the last, is it 2 years? Is it maybe, let's just, maybe three at the push. I think I had wanted to do something for ages because I had a lot I wanted to talk about. In fact, some of it I still haven't talked about. In fact, some of the first amount I've talked about it has been tonight. I mean, talking about the arcade stuff and growing up. But you know, I'm really quite... I get really sort of, excited talking about, things like, video game music that really, really, has sort of affected me over the years, going back from, 8-bit through to modern era. And I have an interest in music generally, in terms of particularly composed stuff for films and games and things like that. It's something I very much... admire. So I had lots I wanted to talk about, but I was sort of holding myself back again because of the sort of apprehension about my voice and things like that, and also to a large extent accessibility to technology, microphones and things like that. And also until 2004 my hometown did not have broadband.
Wow.
So I certainly eked out the most I could from modems, and I think for 2 or so years, from about 2002 to 2004, I think we got ISDN connections in, just to get the absolute most. And also I was a gamer as well, so that fast connection really helped. So there was no real outlet for that sort of thing for me until much, much later. But still no real catalyst to get me going until 2015, I think. Was it 2015? Maybe Slaygon can help me here. That was Back in Time Live Brighton.
Right, yeah, 2015, yeah.
Because by that point, I had sort of thrown myself out onto the scene with some early music that I had written by that point, and had sort of made acquaintances of Boz and a few others in the scene. And so when we turned up to that event, it was basically a case of really talking to Boz and Slaygon right there, and the idea came up that I should, maybe come on Slay Radio at some point, which I think we all had to wait about 9 to 10 months before I eventually caved and did it. But
I just checked. June 1st, 2015 was the first BBKB, but you appeared as a guest on the BBB a couple times before that, and then it kind of transformed in the BBKB.
Right. Yeah, so I must have been persuaded to get on there pretty soon after then. So yeah, that's interesting. See, old age, my memory is going.
Mine too. I had to look it up.
Yeah, but
so yeah, that was sort of it was really a combination of Boz and bloody Bozwank nagging me to get on the air, and so I did eventually, I think, and it just kind of went going from there. And once I had this sort of confidence to do the BBB, I started then developing my podcast project as well, to start talking about video game music, which was my passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. And the first podcast of yours, the VGM podcast, if I remember correctly, was happening in 2016, right?
Yeah, I think I did 3 in total so far, and one was they were almost a year apart. The first 2, I think, there was a long delay, or not, I can't remember. But it was largely to do with I did the first one, and because I had so much information I wanted to convey, I basically did it scripted, and it really came across in the first podcast like, here I am reading from this script which I have written for you. And Alistair of the Boness was like, yeah, sorry, wait, I'll do my Boz voice. Yeah, it's very good, but but you sound like you're reading it from a script.
He said in his, I'm reading this response from a script.
So yeah, it was the second one I tried to do it more free-flowing, and the third one I literally did live, I think. I sort of live broadcasted it and recorded it, and that was how I did the third one. And that was that shows you the time of me sort of just starting to do the BBB, getting into the BBB, doing the BBKB, and sort of getting pretty confident about it. So yeah.
Nice. I think that it happens almost with everyone at the start. I was so nervous while even recording the pre-recorded first podcast that I have done that I also have written everything just like you did, and it's just a hassle at the start. But
it's funny, when we start doing these things, somebody asked me, what were you talking about mostly on air? And I said, well, mostly I was talking about and air and and it was quite funny because I remember when you did your first show and I was listening to it and I thought, oh, thank God it's not just me, because your catchphrase was actually, I think, in the first show.
It was.
Later on I got to anyway as well. No, and there were catchphrases in the first months. I think like every single show had one particular thing that I repeated all the time.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, that's how we all start. And by the way, are you tend to re-listen to your things that you have done?
I did in the first few just to see how terrible they were.
Me too. Then I stopped.
But less so as time went on. I think largely it's like, A, I got more confident, and B, as I sort of got into this whole thing of like, oh my God, I can't. Do I sound like that? And so I just didn't want to listen. But yeah, so that's why I should probably shut up and not play Slaygon samples back at him, because I realise I'm giving you all the ammunition in the world tonight.
Well, the evening is not over yet. We might play some songs if...
Well, to be honest, to get back to that little bit, that is your bit to do. That's it's like me starting to do cowbells. That's Bozzy's thing. I can't do that. You already have that covered, bastard.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. I wish Boz would do that too. He keeps playing back my baboon punching sound effect and my very, very dykey comment I made at one point. But all is fair in love and war.
I'm Boz.
Oh.
Right. You were saying something there, love?
Love. I think we might want to play some kind of songs, and well, this time Kate won't love me because she doesn't like to hear her songs. I'm sorry, Kate, but I think that since the show is about you this time, we might play some songs made by you as well.
It's inevitable.
Exactly. And that would be Soulless, and I picked this particular one because I think it's a favorite of many of us, and well, after this you might even tell the story of it if you feel like.
Is that the one on your Megamix?
No, that's not the one on my Megamix. I'm not permitted to play that because it's her earliest remix, and it was made before 2010. And she told me that I'm not permitted to play songs before 2010.
Yeah, just go on RKO and get them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, never mind. And there are like a lot of things to play still, I think. So this is Soulless, made by Kate, and this gives you all 6 minutes of pee break if you feel like. So there we go.
Slinky shit.
That was a beautiful song, and there are a lot of comments here, so I just gotta mention some. Tough64 says, I love that song. It is so beer belly moving. And Boz said to that you can tell K8-bit is a bass player. Are you?
Or a bass player, maybe, because well, maybe she plays some fish too.
Up. Right. A bass player, yeah.
Yeah. Bass is a fish, and just so you know.
I would never consider correcting your English, Ziona.
Aw, that's too nice of you. But you can, because otherwise I will never learn. But I'm never learning from Slaygon either, so it doesn't really matter.
Obviously. I was like, don't correct me. Oh, but please correct me. What?
No, I'm fine with correcting my English because I really gotta learn a lot of things still, and I'm aware of that, but I'm really shitty with remembering what he says. So it's...
You never listen to me.
Exactly.
Yes, I have been known to play the bass guitar.
Oh yeah, you need to do the Seinfeld thing.
I would, but I can't plug it in at the moment. I'm sorry.
Oh. Yeah, don't reroute anything right now.
No rewriting.
Don't even try.
So no, that was one of the other things. No, I've been I learned to play the bass in high school as part of my whatever it was, higher music or something, whatever the achievement was back then. And I played in a band as well in my teens, and I was bass and keyboardist, though not at the same time.
Wow, how cool is that? And how did it came? I mean, the bass is kind of more rare thing, I think. The keyboard, well, some people experiment with the keyboard. I hear about some of them, but experimenting with the bass, it's definitely more rare.
It was just one of these things. I think I've always been attracted to a strong bass line.
Is that why you are so attracted to Boz's voice?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that must be it. Yes, yes. Yeah, so I mean, I learned the bass. I'd already had some keyboard experience at that point. But I don't know why, I just really fancy learning the bass. And I kind of completed the stereotype. Women who play bass guitar tend to be very tall and have a certain look about them. And actually, now I'm talking about it, I can actually now remember. See, this is the strange thing about doing this show. It's like talking to my psychiatrist. I'm suddenly remembering things from my childhood. I had a major crush on the bassist and singer from the Sisters of Mercy, who is Patricia Morrison. So I suspect I was emulating her as much as I could, and that certainly included my Gothic inclinations.
And how did that make you feel?
Dark.
Nice. Hi, I'm Kate, addicted to bass. Hi, Kate.
That's why I tend to latch on to and focus on music with strong bass lines. And the 64 has lots of tunes with really great bass lines. Knucklebusters is a favourite. Mm-hmm. Most of the Tim Fallon stuff he did for Ghouls and Ghosts is just amazing and would kill a bassist if they tried to play them, I think. Mm-hmm. And Ryan, of course, his stuff in Ninja 3 is fantastic, and actually sounds really good when an actual bass player plays it as well. Yeah. Yeah, and as regards Soulless, as I was saying to you in the chat, it's actually one of the tracks I'm most proud of that I did, and it was because I was asked to do it. So it wasn't something that I had decided I was going to do. I was asked to do that by Jason McKenzie, Kens. He was doing the it's Cytronic, isn't it? Their label, and they were releasing the game, and he asked if I would do a cover of the music from the game. And it was an interesting time because he said something that no person should ever do to a musician, but they all do it, which is to say, can you make it sound like Game of Thrones? And the problem was, at the time, I was not watching Game of Thrones, and I thought, right, okay, I'm not going to watch it, because if I watch it and I hear the music, it will overly influence me, and also I'll feel a lot of pressure. So I thought, I'll just approach it my own way, and I thought, I'm going to do this in the style of a small orchestral sort of, troupe. That kind of gets larger as the music, continues. So it starts small and gets bigger. And when I was finished, I basically thought, right, there we go, job done. I then listened to Game of Thrones and I thought, oh, okay, I've done it quite like that. It was just really strange. That one nearly broke my PC at the time, because I had never done a piece of music with so many tracks, because I was working with entirely orchestral instrumentation, or almost entirely orchestral, aside from an actual acoustic bass and some strange synthy sounds I threw in there as well. But I can't remember how many tracks it had, but my little PC at the time, I think it may even have been a laptop I was writing with at that point, was struggling to play it. So basically I had to finish it because simply I couldn't add any more to it. It would have broken it.
What do you write music in?
It tends to depend on what style of music I'm working on. If it's something I've got a really solid idea in my head, then I will do it probably with renoise. I'll build it up, in the sequencer. From there, in a sort of old school tracker style. Mm-hmm. And that's how I do it. If it's something more free flowing, i.e. something that I'm just working out as I go along, then it's Cubase, and Cubase 5 is the version I currently toy with.
Oh,
nice.
You are a fusion of us. I'm the renoise part, and he is the Cubase part.
Yeah, and I started with renoise. I got a copy of Mackie back in the day when I was looking for a DAW to kind of that feels at home, and I got a copy of it and did, I think, Dwarfly in it.
Uh-huh.
Never released, just kind of trying it out.
It was in the rotational for a while.
Yeah, it was. Not anymore though, I think.
So yeah, it's then it varies, I guess. Martin was specifically asking what tools did you use for the Soulless. So if you remember,
Soulless was done with renoise, and I worked with there's an orchestral VST that I used at the time. Can't remember what it was called, but it was a very basic one, but you could make it sound very, very good if you sort of tweaked it a lot. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was called, but it was one I've had for years. If ever I did orchestral instrumentation, I always went back to it. It was no, I can't remember. Can't remember what it was, but it wasn't one of the big fancy ones by any means. But I think a lot of the times with orchestral instruments, it helps to know how that instrument is meant to sound.
Yeah.
So sticking within the range and performance capabilities of that instrument. As soon as you go beyond that, which is a lot of keyboard players do, it tends to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. And some of those libraries are actually recorded in the position they are supposed to be sitting in. So that's nice too. So if you want to have a quick mock-up, you can just pick up one of those all instruments included type libraries and just throw them in there. It's really nice.
Excellent. And Sonic Wanderer confirmed he is on the channel as well. And well, renoise, yeah.
Yeah, Mackie would say the same thing.
Well, you see, he wants to convince me all the time that you should change. But
there's definite place for both styles.
Yeah.
Renoise is a great way to very, very specifically construct your music, and And, you know, if you've got experience working in trackers, then it's just a no-brainer. It's a great thing to work with, especially with all the instruments you get to play with nowadays. Whereas a traditional sequencer tends to be a bit more free-flowing in terms of allowing you to, you know, try your ideas out. I mean, you can do both things in both, you know, applications. It's just personal preference, and in my case, personal preference depending on how I'm feeling at the time.
Yeah, and probably a little bit what you're aiming for. Like, I'm guessing if it's more like at least the more dance-oriented things, I think kind of lends themselves more towards renoise and that sort of thing, rather than Cubase does.
Ironically, I think doing soulless in renoise was probably making my life more difficult than it needed to be.
That's why,
because of the, you know, the rhythm and time signatures in it, and the way it changes and sort of ebbs and flows. It was quite difficult to achieve a lot of that. A lot of that had to be done kind of afterwards and go back and adjust tempos and things like that. But in terms of just getting the notes right, I basically would loop a pattern over and 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 over again until I got the notes just right. Which is why I always write my music with headphones these days, because otherwise Nikki would be like, I fucking hate this song, and I've only heard one bit of it for the last half hour.
The secret to marriage: headphones.
Yes.
Yeah, but it always happens. If you are a hobby musician or whatever, you have to listen to it 1,000 times. So that's unavoidable. So then it's good to have headphones.
Yeah.
And Sonic Wanderer wins 1,000 points. He correctly named the orchestral VST that I used.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Thank you. I would have been trying to remember that all night. Worse yet, I would have probably tried to install it just to discover it.
Yeah, during the show. Just need to reroute this audio output here. It's not going to affect anything.
Yes.
Obviously not. If we could play anything from your SoundCloud, what would it be? It has to be from you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. None of those. What do you call them? Not retweets.
No, not the repost or
reposts or
exactly.
shares or whatever it is.
It's something I've done. I'm just going to remind myself what's on my SoundCloud.
Okay. I'm going to help you. Maybe you need the page.
It's I think actually it's not that difficult a question. I think probably, and this was a bit of a bugbear for me. It was there's two things on my SoundCloud which I'm actually very, very pleased with, and both of them couldn't be released on remix.qued.org because they're not, strictly speaking, C64 remixes. Aww. And I was mad at the time because I was like, damn it, I want people to listen to this. So I would say probably it is my remix of Martin Galway's Runes of Virtue from the NES. So Data of Synthetic Virtue, which is I think one of
your
the
first
earliest
uploaded track. Yeah, I remembered. Okay, so yeah, there we go. And just a few words maybe about it?
I think again it was my sort of wanting to do something unusual, being quite a hipster and saying, well, everyone likes to do remixes of Martin Galway tracks. Why don't I pick one that no one has done? Oh. And I'll do it from a format that no one's going to know, which is, you know, the Nintendo Game Boy. It's just mainly because I listened to it, and it was one of those pieces of music that even as a really, really basic chiptune, and it is really a basic chiptune, it still sounded exactly like a Martin Galway tune. It still had that distinctive sound and that ability he has to do melodies that are just, they make the hairs in the back of your neck go. So I thought, I'm going to tackle this. And at the time, I was very much into sort of synthy space music kind of thing. So that was my approach. In fact, Yeah, 6 years ago, I was right in the middle of really playing Mass Effect, the game, a lot. So it was very sci-fi inspired. So that was kind of the inspiration. And like I say, when I did it, I couldn't upload it to RKO. So I uploaded it instead to Overclocked, the the Overclocked remix place where they do video game remixes. And they rejected it because they said it sounded too similar to the original, which utterly baffled me.
Yeah,
okay,
they tend to have really strict rules, as I read it.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, the original is a 2-channel chiptune. How different do you want it to be?
At least 3 channels.
Well, exactly, So, so that was one of the if not a disappointment, then a frustration that was quite funny at the time. I've had a few of those.
Okay.
my remixes.
Okay, that's great, because we can make at least a little bit of justice here then with this one played.
Yeah, and
so
you uploaded that 6 years ago, and you had one comment 5 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and then 9 months ago, and 2 months ago, and 2 months ago, and 1 month ago. So it's like picking up pace here.
Yeah. People tend to check it, but of course it's your earliest uploaded song, so maybe they have to scroll down.
I might be a star. I might be a star in 10 years.
Yeah, if you keep going like this.
Okay, so data of synthetic virtue, and the ID free tag says still Kate Lorimer, so at that time it wasn't K8-bit, as I see.
Nope.
Okay, and 4 minutes and we are back, I think.
want you gone from here.
You want us gone from here?
Wait. You can't say that to us.
That was, of course, Commander Shepard from Mass Effect, which, like I say, tells you all you need to know about me.
Oh yeah, and
At the
regarding
time.
that.
Yeah, I'm not a very big gamer. I haven't played anything since Tetris.
Yeah, we might be really shitty with games when it comes up to questions, but definitely I think it would be worth to ask about that particular topic too, because we can say that you are a hardcore gamer, can we?
I wouldn't say hardcore. I certainly don't game as much as I used to. I used to play a lot of competitive games with friends, things like Counter-Strike back in the day when it was in its heyday. I used to play that a lot. And in fact, the weird way the internet works and the way we work is sort of, you know, people who know people who are friends with other people. At one point, I was playing on a Counter-Strike server and got talking to someone called Skits. And you will, of course, know him of this very radio station. I never got to know him very well, but it's just interesting that many, many, many years before I would consider doing anything of a, you know, coming on the radio kind of nature, that I was speaking to a former major presenter. Mm-hmm. And kicking his ass in Counter-Strike.
Lovely person.
But that was, I never really got to know him. I listened to him, certainly, because by that point I was already listening to Slay Radio on my modem connection at
So good thing we had the 24-bit.
Yeah, it would have been 24 kilobits, wherever it was. Yes, at the time.
24 kilobits. Sorry, not bit.
So yeah, I mean, I did do gaming, but a lot of it's fallen off over the last few years. There's too many other things to divide my attention now. But it's a catch-22. I'm a bit like a cat in that respect, in that my attention is very quickly diverted between different things. You know, I will suddenly grip onto something and start playing with it, and then go meh. Stop, playing with that. And that unfortunately goes for my music as well, because it's like, right, I'm all ready, I'm going to start writing some music. Oh, look, Red Dead Redemption 2 has just come out. I'm going to play that for a while. So I mean, I do enjoy gaming, but it's much more casual these days, and it tends to just be games that I can sort of pick up and throw away, rather than something I get really sort of into. The last game series that I really, really obsessed over was, of course, Mass Effect, which I'm infamous for being somewhat obsessed with, as my current Facebook profile picture and the picture you used for the show tonight can testament to, if that's a word.
Mm-hmm. And from time to time you still do Twitch as well, right?
Yeah, I do Twitch, but it's largely just for friends. Just say, hey, I'm going to play this just now. Do you want to have a look? Not for any kind of, real monetary or, fame sort of thing. I know that drives at least a couple of my friends bonkers, because they say, well, why aren't you doing this? You should be doing this properly, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't want to. I just want to play a game.
You just want to enjoy gaming. And also with Boz, I heard that from time to time you tend to play, or you are gaming buddies, as we can say.
Yeah, we haven't gamed together in a while. We went through a bout where we were doing all sorts of games. We were even playing, emulated old arcade games. I think we played Bubble Bobble at one point together over the internet, which was quite cool. We've done bits and bobs of other games. We played Grand Theft Auto 5, which is hilarious. Boz in a helicopter in that game is an exciting thing, is what I will say. But some of the stuff we just haven't really got around to doing. We both do a bit of VR gaming as well. We did a fantastic thing for a while. We were playing a game, I can't remember what it's called, but you basically play a sort of undead cowboy, cowgirl kind of thing, and you're shooting other zombies or yourself. And I swear it was one of the funniest things ever, because I was playing that game in the downstairs living room in VR, and I was ducking and hiding behind furniture that wasn't there. I was, basically in the game, hiding behind boxes and things like that, shooting at balls, pointing my gun over this non-existent box, trying to shoot him, which from Nikki's point of view was hilarious, because, I'm just standing in the middle of the room or sitting or crouching and, throwing myself to the floor to dodge these bullets that are not there. So, yes, we played
speaking of that, I have seen his mother play some when Boz had the 3D camera thing for the Xbox.
Yes.
Her playing the smash the balls kind of game, whatever it was. Fucking hilarious. Even though she didn't wear goggles and you could actually see what she saw, but still fucking hilarious.
Yep, it's all good. These physical games tend to be very, very funny for everyone else in the room who's watching. Yes, we did that. And also recently I got the PlayStation VR as well. So now the circle is complete, which is to say that Boz and I and Nikki can all play a VR game together, and much hilarity will ensue. Wow. We just haven't done it yet. The one we're looking forward to doing is the Star Trek Bridge Crew game, where you basically are the crew of a starship, and you basically take your station and you follow the orders of the captain, who is usually me.
Oh, of course it is. And yeah, Boz Boz! It's the Kinect, of course. Sorry.
That's right, yes. Mm-hmm. Which in itself, Slaygon is now classified as retro.
Yeah, of course it is.
Wow.
I'm so up to date on these gaming things.
It feels like it was yesterday or something. And oh my god.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned Tetris. It's called Tetris Effect. And it's Tetris, but it's got a few tweaks here and there, but it's also a sort of visual, experience. You play it in VR. Well, you can play it without VR, but you really want to play it in VR. And the game board sits in the sort.
Hang on.
She's back.
Hang on.
Yeah,
she's
now
back.
we're back. We're back now.
Would you repeat the last sentence that you said, because you all of a sudden got frozen?
How rude. I was saying that this Tetris Effect game, it's you play the game in the centre of the board, but all around you there's sort of things reacting to the music and soundtrack as you play the game. It's utterly amazing. If you get an opportunity to try it, I really do recommend it. Tetris Effect in the PS4 VR. It's amazing.
Sounds like something for me. I think that partially we don't start the game because we are afraid that we will be addicted.
Yep. And then all of the house will be VR'd.
Yep. Yep.
So it's not that we hate that, but...
Yes, the time's such a major thing as well, I come home from work and, then have dinner and it's like, okay, what we're going to do now? We're going to game tonight, and we're going to try and do something music, we're going to watch something on the telly. And it's like, there's not enough hours in every day, it's just, and the weekends are just as bad, so.
Exactly. And I totally feel for you when you say that you get distracted with the other thing and then the other thing and...
Yeah. Yep.
How nice butterfly out there!
That's it.
I would love a augmented reality kind of game that once you put your glasses on, the whole house just automatically cleans itself.
I think what you're looking for there is a cleaner.
Oh, is that what it's called? Oh.
Or domestic help.
So old school.
Yep. Sometimes old school's the best,
Yeah. I definitely vote for old school still, regarding most of the things.
Yeah, most of the things, yes.
Most of the things. Even Slaygon. Yeah, I couldn't skip that. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I won't be a bastard here. Probably we should play something.
No, you won't, you youngster.
No. Not anymore. No, don't look at me like that.
Yes, you are.
Aww.
Toddler.
Come on.
I'm
yes.
not seeing a thing.
No, actually, I don't know how public you are about your birth year or your age, but if you are, you can share it with us. And I know that people tend
Okay. That's very kind of you to say that, Ziona. Thank you very much.
No, I mean, it's...
Did you have a track to play?
Yeah, I definitely do.
I'm sorry, your message is breaking up. But
No, she froze again. Oh, that wasn't the video stream. Nice one.
Hang on. Are we online still? Or someone kicked us out? Someone with broadcasting rights, right? So yeah, I don't tend to take that kind of question usually as an offense, but I know that some people would, and some people would take it as you are not tending to ask such question from a woman. And I think that, well, it equals for men and women as well. So if they don't want to talk about it, that's fine.
Yeah, Boz is 17. I'm 24.
Yeah. And we are both 18 with Kate.
Of course you are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
don't put me in a position where I have to lie, because obviously I'm 20-something.
Oh my God, I was mistaken. I'm really sorry.
But you look 18.
Why,
Indeed.
thank you.
Indeed. And yeah, I got a line of something here. Just hang on, because, well, it will take a bit of time here.
8-bits.
It was not poetry.
How many of those do you have anyway?
You may regret asking that.
Damn it.
I have so many favourites, though. You're just gold. You're gold for this stuff, Slaygon.
Yeah.
Well, that is
that is only the demo.
Yeah, those must come from the flip side shows, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he provided.
There's a reason I don't do flip side shows anymore. I don't need to.
I
Because
think
Kate
it's a
has-
great shame. I think it's a great shame.
You can do them for me.
I think there's a reason why you don't do drunk shows nowadays with me.
Okay.
Indeed. So I picked this time also one of your favorites, The Dead Guys and Comic Bakery Tragic Butchery. Wow,
Oh, yes.
sounds dark. Definitely. And
It's the dead guys, but it's not very dark.
not
You
very
know how
dark.
I said I wasn't going to correct you on your English. I would just say that it's not so much butchery as it is butchery.
Butchery.
However, I like your version better.
Aw, thank you so much. Okay. So, yeah, 4 minutes, we disappear, and then we will be here again still.
Victor made a song that is not a remix.
Such a perfect timing.
Bastard.
I do so love attending your TED Talks.
Also, what was the TED for again? Totally effing drunk talks.
Lovely. And I just realized we have 20 minutes from the official show
shit.
left.
Wow.
Yeah. And we still haven't asked or commented almost anything from the listeners. We are very sorry. We have a very nice conversation going on here. So, of course, Boswank was the first. So I gotta read some things from him. If you don't mind, Kate.
Don't listen to a word this Native American says.
Mr. Injun next.
Yeah, so he said, okay, first question to Kate. Why are you so fucking beautiful and delicious? You hurt my heart with your beauty. Gal Gadot is shit in comparison. Gal ain't got shit. No bass guitar skills, meh. And of course, then he added later on, to Kate, your absolute hands down fave 64 related tune. Yes, that would be a question, but he forgot the question mark, and I'm reading here. So, absolute favorite.
Well, I'd like to thank Boswank for his input into this detailed set of questions. I'm going to choose to answer the last part of his outburst. It's very hard. It's a very hard question to answer, but now knowing Boswank, I'm wondering if he means original C64 tune or Plinky, as he calls it, or if he means remixes.
Actually, he said 64 related, so it might be a remix as well, I think.
Okay. I would have to say it's the probably the Jamie Maxwell classical guitar rendition of The Last Ninja, which is just a spectacular arrangement of such a famous piece of music. And I think it affects me in a couple of ways. One, because it's a really good performance. It's very subtle, but just expertly performed. And I absolutely love, as you might maybe have heard, jamming along to it. I just love it. But also I think because the Last Ninja piece of music that it's remixing or arranging, I've got a real soft spot for that as well, because in fact I've enthused about it in a couple of places, including podcasts and blogs and things. But it's one of the rare pieces of music, I think, that seems to be ageless in terms of, you know, whether it's from an old 8-bit computer or 16-bit or modern composition, because it's a really strong theme. It's got a, it's a really well composed piece of music with a really strong theme. It's got a very definitive start. It's got a wonderful midsection, and then it ends beautifully. And so I appreciate it musically as the original piece of music, and therefore Jamie's version of it is just, it's
I think we have our exit tune for today.
I think that was the exit tune you played on the on last Friday's
That's right.
show.
I
with
made Boz play it. Yes, I am not adverse to hearing it again. but that's entirely up to you and the listeners. They may be sick to death of it.
Probably not.
We probably wouldn't have much things against it, but we will see what is lining up here still.
Well, I have it anyway, so...
Yeah, perfect. Boswank continuing his things, of course. What did you feed our 3 daughters before you left me to go on the road? One likes sushi, one loves steak, one loves stealing unicorn figurines. It's hard to be a single dad. Oh my goodness. And
well, you know, Brandine, Charlene, and Carlene, our 3 daughters, are, you know, they're just rednecks at heart, and I wasn't going to stay in that relationship. I had to get out of there. I had to get out of that small town and get back to the big city.
Understandable. Totally.
So you went off the reservation.
Badoomph.
Yeah, he was wondering if he was the only one asking questions. No, Boswang. So I won't read everything you said now. I think it was enough. And there goes Pawach, who tends to have the same question, usually, every time. So the usual motoring question to our lovely guest. Is there even a need to reiterate it anymore? Probably not. What was your first car, and or what would be your dream car? The one that you could express yourself with or simply enjoy the most? Thanks.
My first car, which I didn't get until 2004, I think. I didn't learn to drive until quite late. Partially because my mother's she was a professional driving instructor, which meant that we did not get on well when it came to her teaching me how to drive. So it was 2004, and I got a Renault Laguna, a 1999 Renault Laguna, which was a nice looking car in a deep royal blue. That was my first car. My dream car, I don't know if I have actually such a thing.
Tesla?
Well, maybe not a Tesla. Do you know, funny enough, I'm such a, after me just slagging off the redneck, I'm such a mountain, you know, hick kind of girl, because I was in London just a couple of weeks ago, and we got in an Uber taxi, and I was sitting in it, and I was going, this car is so quiet, it's not making a sound at all, it's magic. And there had been some drink that night, and I said to the driver, hello Mr. Driver, why is your car so quiet? It sounds amazing. And he's like, it's a hybrid. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
It's like magic.
So yeah, probably something like that. Probably not a Tesla, because I don't think electric cars are quite ready yet for the Highlands of Scotland in terms of infrastructure and operating in temperatures.
Or Hungary.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't want to know the road quality there. We have a lot of great things, but not the roads. So yeah, those things are not well prepared. But I would really wonder what would happen here in Sweden. People wondering about all the electric buses, because they only have electric buses, right?
No. They have a lot of hybrids and a bunch of old buses as well. But some of them are purely electric.
Haven't seen many old ones though, but of course we are in the city of Volvo, so I'm very sorry. It's like obvious. Guys, that's just...
Did you have more questions there?
Oh, definitely. Not from the listeners at the moment. You still can have some questions if you feel like.
Then I have a follow-up question for the car question.
Okay.
So what car would kind of please your ears in a sort of sense? The engine sound, like a Jeep sound or a Porsche kind of thing or something?
I think a combination. Well, it's two extremes really. I like, as my experience in London proved, I like a car that doesn't make any sound. I probably have a soft spot for those monster American muscle cars. You know,
put a V8 in it and you're in love.
I can't remember the name of them. But you know, the big those big US cars, the ones that are in, you know, like the Gran Torino and things like that. You know, those
Mustangs and shit.
Yeah, that's it. That sort of thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Nice.
Because I mean, I do like it's that whole thing. I don't know if it's a musician thing or whatever, but you know, some sounds that you just hear them and you go, that's nice. Like up here, the thunder, sound of thunder, echoing around the mountains is just a tremendous sound. Gets the hairs in the back of my neck rising. When you're in the cinema, or you're in IMAX cinema, and you get a really nice low frequency sound that you feel more than hear, that sort of thing. Yeah. Yes. Or Boz's voice when you're sat straddled over a large speaker, but that might just be me.
Which you've never done.
And I think that the word that we were looking for, sorry.
It's not a speaker, it's a subwoofer, so technically...
Very true. I think I have the word that we were looking for, SUV.
Ah, yes.
Yes, I have particular friends that are obsessed with SUVs as well. I more prefer small cars, but then again, it would probably take me 2 minutes to kill myself on the road at the moment, so I'm not intend to drive. But yeah, it's that you are an SUV fan as well, and it's understandable since you are tall, so. And I would probably look very strange in an SUV anyway, compared to.
It's very common over here. The UK equivalent is probably in the city. What do they call it? I can't remember what they call it. There's a name for it down here. Chelsea tractors, I think they call them, which is the big Range Rovers and things like that. And usually sitting behind them is a very, very tanked up, angry-looking tiny woman who is doing the school run. She's doing the school run, and Lord help anyone that gets in the way of her dropping the kids off on time. So yes, I remember reading something recently. There was someone commenting about that when this woman, when she lived in London, she was a nanny, an au pair, and part of the perks of her job was that she got to drive the parents' big Range Rover, this very new expensive Range Rover, and she'd heard all these things about driving in London, that people are very rude and the drivers in London are the worst and most aggressive in the world. But she came back and she said, that was not my experience of it. I was driving this big Range Rover and everyone was very courteous and they all let me out, and nobody got held up in a junction. And then she said she switched to a small car and she saw that actually, yes, they are all bastards, because it's all the bastards driving Range Rovers who are the arrogant, aggressive,
I heard this with BMWs, but...
Yeah, that's something in Sweden. Were they rude? Okay, they were driving a BMW.
Right. Yeah, well, they park not really parallelly. They drive a BMW. That's kind of a general thing, not only in Sweden, actually. It's a trend in Hungary, in Poland. They tend to say that. So looks like it's a cross-European tendency. Mm-hmm. But we got to the cars, and and do you need the car day by day, by the way, to drive? Because
yes, unfortunately, my commute is 32 miles to work every day from where I stay.
How many stones is a mile?
Many.
A few pebbles.
It's so that's 64 miles. 64 miles a day.
There we go.
So and it goes through a place called the Slocht Pass. That's SLOCHD, Slocht, and it is one of the high altitude points, sort of between my town and Inverness, the city where I work. And during the winter, it gets quite exciting to drive through there.
Is it a very kind of a curvy road as well?
Not so much. It's, it's a dual carriageway for a lot of the way, but it just tends to get quite desolate and remote out there. And with it being the main road north-south through the Highlands, if something happens or if there's, it's closed for any reason, then it's just a disaster, and that usually means I end up working from home, which is not so bad.
No, that's not too bad.
Yeah, to me it looked like a lifestyle in the UK when where many people were driving several miles to work, and without car you are completely dead there. Like you cannot move at most of the places, right? So it's definitely a different lifestyle, because I was mostly living my life in cities where you go within, and then public transport can take you anywhere, or logistically it's easy. But in England and Scotland, probably it's really necessary.
Certainly out to the big cities. The big cities, London in particular, has got a great transport infrastructure. But the further north you go through, sort of the north of England, it just gets more and more problematic, and there's a greater reliance on personal transport, effectively. And once you get north of Perth, which is the gateway to the Highlands up here, then having a car is a must, because if I was to have to use the public transport, it would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to work, and life is too short for that.
Indeed, that's very, very true. And made me think, meanwhile, because we got into a little chat with Sonic Wanderer as well, by the way. Also greetings to you here, not only in the chat. Very great to see you back here. And he hung out regularly, way before, but I think that still all the people know his tracks. So and that made me actually think about a question that I haven't asked, and I would be particularly curious. When and how did you find your way to the 64 remix scene? That kind of, I guess, how, but then to Slay Radio, because
it's a difficult one to answer, because I found my way to sort of the demo scene initially, whilst still on the Commodore 64 in the early 90s, through public domain discs. Again, this is Jason McKenzie. He was running his Binary Zone PD at the time. Now, I had seen in magazines and things to do with the Commodore demo scene, and because I was very much into my creative stuff and really, really wanted to see how they did this and see all these things in person, I got in contact with him, and he got some of the Commodore demo discs off him. So that started to expand my new sort of knowledge of the music and things like that. And it would be quite a long time later, I think early 2000s onwards, I had just stumbled across, I think I was listening to lots of online radio stations at the time, and the key ones I was listening to were Kohina, scenemusic.net, or Nectarine as it's known, and Slay Radio. As I mentioned, I was somewhat constrained by bandwidth at the time, but still tuned in whenever I could. So I was certainly listening to a lot of that stuff, probably 2000 onwards, maybe a little earlier for some other things. But in terms of actually sort of really getting closer into the 64 remixing scene and things like that, I think the probably only thing I would say is that I was a frequent lurker, sort of behind the scenes until about 2008, and then I basically started, because at the time Anna Black was broadcasting on Slay Radio, and she and I basically sort of became friends and encouraged me to release some music, and I did.
How great that she did that. Yeah. Amazing. 2008 was a great year, it seems.
Yeah. And the way Anna Black and I met was she slapped me in the face and I asked her to broadcast as an excuse. That's how she started broadcasting for Slay Radio.
Wow.
Fortunately, that was not a requirement for me, and you... it was just in a slightly odd meeting outside the toilets at the Brighton Back in Time Live.
That after I
had walked past. Oh my God, what's her name? I forgot her name. I'm so mortified.
What are you talking about?
Hi, hello.
Oh, Leonie.
Leonie, thank God. Now, I was trying not to say her actual name because I know she likes to prefer to use her online name. We kind of walked past each other in the same venue, so never got speaking. But Slaygon and Boz were unmistakable. So I was like, stormed up to them and rasped at them in the way that I do.
As you do.
Yeah, I kind of was wondering for a while that you and Boz, Slaygon and Boz, they didn't really do many shows together, did you?
No, he did his own thing and I did kind of my thing. I'm kind of always mostly in the background and doing the server side stuff and all that shit. And the flip side was kind of a different thing I was trying. But yeah, but this broadcasting thing never was my thing.
Oh, that was interesting.
Exactly, that's the reason why.
Boz has his own brand, really, isn't he? He has his own brand, his show, and his thing. And you very much have yours. And I suppose I have mine as well. I think I've only done 1 or 2 solo shows on Slay Radio. Both were sort of chill out shows. I did one that was after, was it The Gathering or was it? It was after The Gathering, wasn't it? I did the Hangover show.
I remember, yeah. Indeed, and that was impromptu, right? It was kind of...
Yeah, it was...
exactly.
It was my plan to go on the air when I thought the least number of people would be listening.
But nowadays you don't seem to be having a stage fright or anything, right? You kind of got used to the thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the best shows I've done with Boz are the ones I've not planned or organised for at all, because I tended to get a little bit stressed. Throughout the times we were doing BBKB, I got into this habit of doing a thing for the show, like a music or a mashup or something like that, and it became a habit. It's like, oh, I need to do something for the next show, or I need to do something for the next show, and I was like, no, I need to stop doing that and just make it up as I go along. But it kind of worked out. We managed to get a good combination of the two. And the terrible thing was that so many of the things I did on the show I never kept. A lot of them were done for the show, and then me being me, I deleted the files or lost them. So there's only a few of them that I put on SoundCloud afterwards. This is weird. I'm terrible for that. I've got remixes that have disappeared and lost.
Yeah, you should ask Marcel for advice on how to organize your sound bits, because if you ask him, do you remember that thing you played in 2003? It was, I think, October. It was a clingy sound, and he'll fucking send you that sound clip. I don't know how he does that, but he must have some sort of system for that.
Yeah, good memory.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but he's fucking magical.
Some people are just very organised. I am not.
Yeah, me either.
I can relate to that.
We actually spoke about this on the pre-interview thing about you going hardware only, and me having trouble finding the sounds I want with the VSTs I have, and me trying to kind of build a system to keep track of that shit. And you said, nope, no fucking VSTs. So you're hardware only now.
For the time being, certainly. Who knows what will happen. Every once in a while I might think, oh, I really need this set of instruments, and I'll maybe go back to, because I do have some favourites. That's Spectrasonic's Atmosphere is an absolute favourite of mine. It's a synthesizer heaven of ambient background instrumentation. There's obviously that Edirol orchestral one was also very good. I recently got the Roland Cloud, some of the instruments from that as well. The D50 which is another instrument that I absolutely adored as a synthesizer. Although that had the adverse effect to me of going, I really like the D50. I'm going to buy myself an actual Roland keyboard again. And I did.
Of course you did.
Oh, and you kind of made a promise. Okay, no, it wasn't a promise, but we were talking about this, that in the near future you might do music again, and it's easier to kind of live play or kind of record some things, right?
That was certainly my plan, was the idea to free myself up from having to rely on laptop or PC or even iPad just to make noise, effectively. I really wanted just to have a keyboard that had a good set of sounds all of its own and just to be able to pick up and play it. And then I kind of stepped back even further from that when I said what I really want is just a really nice set of piano instruments, because if I'm disciplined enough to not sit there for 4 hours going through my instruments, you know, going, oh, that's nice, oh, that's nice, oh, that's nice, then I can sit with the piano and actually work out chords and melody that, you know, affects me. And in the last few weeks I have created what would be the 4 or 5, you could call it the DNA of music that may well become finished productions. Basically by just sitting with the piano and working out chords and going, that's nice, I'm going to keep that, go back to it later. Whereas previously, if I'd done it in VSTs, I probably would have just sat there, like I said to you before, just doing Netflix browsing. You know, I'm going to spend 2 hours looking through all the films and watch nothing. In the same way with music, I'm going to go through 5 million instruments and have a great time, but record nothing.
Yeah, definitely. What do you guys say if we come back for a last block? I know that we are ahead of time. I know, Slaygon.
No, we are not ahead of time.
Well, not ahead of time. I mean, after the official end of the show.
Oh, shit. Yes, we are.
Yes. I know we didn't notice that.
Then. See ya.
Nothing like that. I picked the track here, and I'm curious what you will say about it. It's one of my personal favorites, probably because it touched me at a moment when it was really fitting to the mood where I was at. This is City Bomber and Cytronic Kate Zoid remix. Do you remember any circumstances or any important moments when you were doing this?
Let me have a look at the track. Yes. I think it was one of those pieces of music, again going back to the Last Ninja thing, that it was a piece of music that had a really prominent melody that I really liked, and I thought I can sort of expand this. And I think at that time I had, this is going to Slaygon as well, that at that point I was fully surrounding myself with every VST I could imagine, and I really wanted to throw the kitchen sink at a piece of music. And I liked this one because it has structure, it has an intro, it has a melody that you can sort of hum along to, and it has a nice bridge section. And also it's technically interesting because there's a lot going on in the original SID in like one channel. You know, there's you know, bass, drums, other stuff all happening on one channel, and I wanted to interpret that with, you know, modern instruments. And also I love messing around with resonance filters as well. So it was just I suppose you could say it was a technical exercise, but it was one of those, like, I like this tune, I'm going to make a remix of it that I will like listening to. And that was kind of the raison d'etre. Of course, more recently it's up against my more other problem, which is I don't like listening to my own remixes. But yeah, it was just a fun tune to do, and I'm glad you like it.
Absolutely. For me, it means the restart of my life. So that was kind of a thing when I started a new phase, and I overly listened to this particular remix. Wherever I was going, it was with me on my phone and earplugs. So yeah, let's give it a listen. And
it's pretty interesting because, of course, it's got sounds of plane crashing in it, you know. So.
And speaking of kitchen sink, I actually, because I wanted to do a remix or an original song or whatever, and throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. So I actually have a VST that has a kitchen sink recorded.
Not a bad idea. I think you could probably do quite a lot with that.
Yes,
so the funny thing is, I'm talking about, you know, a kitchen sink and things like that, but honestly, I can only remember the sort of vague content of the music. So when you play it, it's going to be very interesting for me because I'll be listening to it and going, either, yeah, I did. I threw every instrument I had at this thing, or I was like, or I'll be going like, what was I fucking talking about? I didn't do any of that at all. It's very basic sounding. So I haven't listened to it in a very long time.
Oh, great.
So,
okay, so here's the opportunity, and after that we will be back for a last block. So, Kate, what is your opinion about this now?
I like the fact that it ends in a fiddly dump, to quote Boz.
I actually had to include that in one of the remixes because of Boz. Bastard.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I can see that I was throwing just about everything I had instrument-wise at that. But it's funny as well, it makes me a little bit sad because the guitar instruments in that were provided by my Korg synth that I had, which I sold a few years later when I made that decision to say, I'm all about the VSTs now. I don't need an actual hardware synthesizer. Aww. It was just taking up space, so I sold it. And of course, a few years later, I then regretted it because it had some very distinct instruments. But even now, I mean, there's still no place for it. It would have just been taking up space. Whereas the Roland I've just recently got has very similar instruments, but it has much, much more functionality. It's just a little bit of nostalgia for that keyboard and that guitar sound in particular.
It's a lovely guitar, that.
Yeah. Sounded really great. And yes, well, we could still, I could still play some songs, but he would shut me down.
I have the power.
Yes, you do. You do have the power to pull the plug.
I got the power.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, about the demo scene thing, we have to get back to it at one point, of course. I know I was nagging you with that a bit, but when do you think will be the first demo scene party that you will visit?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because in many ways going to X would have been very tempting, but this is where I get a bit snobbish, you see, I get a bit snobby, and which is to say that as far as the demo scene is concerned, I'm much more about the PC scene and, the modern hardware, mostly because of the music and the audio side of things, and the art. Whereas what tends to be done with the 64 these days is technically stunning stuff. They're eking out the most amazing things from the hardware, but it's not as artistically or sonically interesting to me as the PC demo scene. So it would have to be one of those that I would go to.
I tend to agree. Before you say anything,
No.
Before you say anything, she's been trying to get me to one of those PC demo scene things, and my objection has been that up to quite recently, it's only been kind of boring shit. Basically, there's been no challenges in what they do and all that. Sure, artistic and all of that. Sure, fucking do a PowerPoint or whatever. I don't care. But
harsh.
Yes, harsh. I know, harsh. But it's getting to a point where it's actually they are challenging themselves to do something new, something artistic with code-wise. I mean.
I think that's the problem with the PC demo scene, is that the limitations are considerably, well, they aren't really limitations as such, unless they're imposed on them, which is where stuff tends to be really good. So 4K demos, 64K demos, where they put that limitation on them. I have to admit that I haven't seen anything in the PC demo scene in the last year or so that's really caught my attention. The demo groups that most tend to impress me are the ones that like Andromeda Software Development, Fairlight, these guys. Yeah. They do tend to do stuff that really sort of, captures my imagination. But the thing is, I'm very selfish about it, in which that the music has to catch my attention, and it has to be sort of in a style that I like.
I second that.
It's, if it's in a genre or a style that doesn't appeal to me, then the demo's not really going to win me over. I mean, some of my favourite demos of all time are the ones like from ASCII, you know, the Fairlight ones. I can't remember half the groups off the top of my head at the moment, you know, Megastyle, all these kind of guys, where the music is almost the primary sort of selling point of the demo. So, you know, that tends to be the thing. But of course, the thing is, if you go to a demo party, you're not going to know what's, you know, going to be there until you go. So, you know, it's a bit of a, you know, a gamble in that respect, but I'd imagine it'd be really interesting. So the answer is yes, I would go to one, and it's just a case of which one it would be.
X.
No.
I'm going to connect you here, and you two have to talk a lot about this, because actually he's keep telling me that no, I don't want to go to a PC party because it doesn't catch my attention, and those limitations are not really challenging enough, and they keep repeating what they did on 64. And I said that, well, I'm coming from the PC demo scene. That's how I kind of got here, and even to the remix scene. So it started all in...
So at least the PC demo scene did something good.
Oh, come on. And, well, at one point, I would be just so glad to introduce you to some of my demo scene friends, but I cannot really do that with those that are only attending PC parties because him. So...
Do you know, I think some of the best parties are the ones that are all format ones anyway. You know, assembly. What was the other one? Revision, where, you know, there's entries from lots of different formats. It's not focused on one in particular. And of course, where you see the wild demos where people are releasing things on formats you wouldn't have even thought of. You know, you know, some of these. You know, obscure 8-bit machines and things like that. That sort of thing I'm quite cool with. I like people doing things very unusual with, you know, obscure bits of hardware, and obviously seeing the high-end PC demos and also the 64 stuff as well. But, you know, when I was doing the show last week with Boz, I was looking at some demos that were Christmas themed, and I swear that there was 5 or 6 demos that were all the same demo in different formats, and it was the snowman thing. It was this animation. I was like, all right, that's very good. It looks terrible. It sounds worse. And, you know, I was almost glad we didn't talk about this earlier, but I'm going to bring it up now, and that's the whole fact that, you know, I was not a big fan of the Amiga and the 16-bit, you know, sound set, just because the metallic sound of those low frequency samples just used to drive me bonkers. So I largely skipped that demo scene era.
Same here.
You know, he can relate to that very much. So
no, but that's the thing. Nowadays, like they have these competitions where, for instance, with music, they do a song with just the sounds from ST01, the first sample set disc that went out. And there's been some great fucking entries into that competition, and they do some really creative stuff with it, and that I do like. So now we are getting close to something that means something creatively, I think.
Yep.
But it hasn't been there yet, or hasn't gotten there yet, I think.
No. And I keep talking about ASD, but I think they're probably one of my favourite demo groups, because their work is on the PC all about artistic expression. You know, their demos are whatever size they are. There's no we're doing this effect or whatever. They tend to be telling a musical and visual story. Yeah. Monolith is probably my all-time favourite PC demo, and that's largely because of the music, but also because the visuals at the end of the demo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should look it up afterwards, because it's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And I don't care what the technicalities are that are going on behind the scene. The story they're telling visually and musically is just fabulous.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Some of the things that are done on the PC demo scene focuses too much on the technicalities, which on a PC doesn't really matter.
No.
Sure, it matters if you want to have a job in the gaming industry or some shit, but I don't care. I want to see something nice. So do
yeah, and
something
that's
for
interesting,
me.
you know, because that's for a while Nvidia was throwing a few of the demo scene, PC demo scene parties, and Pixar as well. So, to a certain extent, there's a bit of talent finding going on there, which is great for all concerned. But yeah, I mean, again, going back to the 64 demos, some of the ones that are technically amazing. I'm just such a terrible person for it, because there's some demos that have come out from like Mahoney, and he's doing these amazing things with sound and compression, and I'm listening to it going, yeah, but it sounds like a Commodore 64 doing sampled sound. It'd be like, if I went to that party, I'd be so worried that I'd run into one of these people, and they'd be like, oh, what did you think of my demo? And I was like, which one was it? Who are you? Like when I ran into Chris Hulsbeck at the Brighton thing, and I was standing talking to someone else, and he came over and he was talking away, and he walked away, and I turned to whoever it was. It might even have been you, Slaygon, and said, who was that?
It was me and Boz. That was funny though. Boz and me did one of those comic kind of show looks at each other and went, really?
And then the next question would have been, it'd be like, oh, he's the guy who did Tusker, and I was like, oh, I didn't like that.
That's why I remixed it 7 times.
Yeah, but it's a process, I think. So anyone goes there first.
Did I say Tusker? I meant Turrican. My God.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tusker, you
Right.
definitely remixed like thousands of times. So
yeah, who is that? Fred Gray? No, Matt Gray.
Yes, that's right, Tusker. Yes, who was there, and I did speak to.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But largely, I just went up to him going, "Oh, hi, Matt Gray. I'm Kate." Blah 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 blah. I'd kind of got better control of myself when I saw him in London, in Camden last time. Sort of sauntered up to him, saying, "Hello, Matt. How are you doing? Have you listened to my remixes?" "No, you bastard."
Not talking to you anymore.
yeah, so at the start it's kind of always I think everyone has a bit of not anxiety, I would call it, but these question marks when you go to a new place or party or wherever, and oh my god, but I won't have many friends there, and what if they won't have time for me or whatnot. The thing is, in these demo scene parties, that it's just impossible to left behind or stay out of conversations, because all of a sudden you will just notice automatically that you are in the middle of like 5 people's conversation, whom, well, those people, none of them you should actually know before, and you talk about things that you share, so it goes all easy, but of course it's
I mean, if I was to go to one of those, for example, and find a group of people, and one of them turned out to be KB from Farbrush, who did the music, I'd be like, "This KB, hello," and trying to talk to them, But I suppose it depends. You think that, but I mean, we've been talking for hours tonight, and it felt weird when we spoke briefly yesterday, because it was like, okay, this is the first time we've actually spoken to each other, and yet it didn't really feel like that. I think it's that whole thing of being involved in the scene, doing sort of the same sort of things in the same sort of circles. It felt like we were already good friends by that point anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And very similar feelings are at a party anyway. So even if you haven't met most of those people, it goes really, really smoothly. And I think if it would be a first party to go to for you, still I recommend Revision mostly, because
that's a good choice.
Yeah, it's well, so far from what I have learned, and I also haven't been at many of them, but would be nice to visit it at one point together.
Sure. I just need to interject here a bit and go back to the previous discussion, because Gazoo has a good point. He said, I think it's such a subjective thing, which it certainly is. What appeals to you in a demo? I think it's incredibly difficult to discuss it objectively. And yes, it is, because it is something that should impress you as a person. And in a sort of way, demos are supposed to be this thing that shows off technicality, or not technicality, but technical things, and at the same time be designed nicely and appeal to you with music and graphics and all of that shit. So yeah, it's
like when you try to explain what a demo scene production is to someone that doesn't know what a demo scene production is.
Yeah.
You know, people tend to say, oh, it's a
advanced PowerPoint.
Well, you know, it's a way of someone showing off technical prowess with technology, either that is incredibly limited by age or is not limited in any way, and it's them showing what they can do, blah blah blah, and you're like, oh, that's not really explained it at all well.
I made an attempt at that because I was being interviewed on Swedish radio like in 2007 or some shit, and they said, what is it you do, or why are you so interested in this, and what is all of this shit? And I said, well, it's like a new kind of multimedia revolution that started 20 years before you realized it was one.
Yep. And it's a cult thing as well, you know. It's very much underground still, even though you've got all these big, you know, people like Pixar and Nvidia sort of, you know, paying attention to it now, albeit at the top end of the scale. But it's made me kind of realize, actually, I think I would love to write music for a demo scene production. I'd love to be, you know, I tend to work best if someone says to me, can you do something for this? And they give me, you know, something to do, because I have done freelance music production from time to time.
We can arrange that.
Well, see, the problem I was going to say is that the stuff I like best is the stuff where the music is technically clever as well. You know, like a lot of those early Firebrush productions where you'd have a fantastic piece of music, like, you know, The Product in a demo that was 64K, and, you know, KB, is it KB that did the music for that? Yes. Where he's got his own, you know, it's almost going back to that Commodore 64 thing of, you know, you're going to write your music in this very, very limited space, and you're going to use it with this editor that we have provided you, and that sort of thing appeals to me, where, you know, you're working within the confines of very tight limitations, because then you're not doing that whole thing of like, okay, I have my entire instruments at my disposal, I will spend 20 hours producing 4 seconds of music, because I can't decide on which instrument I'm going to use.
Yeah. Typical.
That's not to say that I would in any way be any good at writing music, say, on a Commodore 64 or in any limited chip situation, because again, I'm too much of a snob. I like my reverb, I like my delay, and I like my effects.
Yeah, like reverb and the church thing or cavern thing you use as an effect.
All that stuff. All that stuff. I love it.
Indeed.
Well, it's
late.
It is.
It's just
it's turned into the late night talk show.
Yeah, it's excellent. Well, still we could carry on. But I'm afraid that you will tell at one point that, hang on, maybe I should get a little bit of rest as well. Or something.
Yeah, it is bedtime for me. I need to be going to my bed so I can get up for a stupid o'clock for work tomorrow, yes.
You are playing music, Slaygon.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Sorry about
because,
that.
I'm just saying hi and bye. This is the outro tune. Bye-bye then.
That's not how it works.
Yes, it is. If I say it's how it works, that's how it works.
Oh, well, I know that I cannot oppose you that much, but I will still try.
You always do.
Yeah, exactly. So, as a closing question then, and we still haven't even talked about your cosplay things. I would be really curious if you create your dresses or you rather go for just buying them, or what sort of extent you consider it as a self-expression, such things.
It tends to be a mix. Some of the costumes are sort of more homemade. Some of them are more complicated, and when I got them, were certainly beyond my skills. For example, the I'm looking at it right now. It's sitting just opposite me. Was made for me, custom made for me. I've got. I did a Star Wars stormtrooper.
Hang on. Just the last sentence. Yes, just the last sentence you have to repeat.
I think you were saying something about stormtroopers.
Yeah, I had a stormtrooper armor costume made for me as well, and that was made from molded plastic. So all the pieces were made for me, and then basically I assembled them. I've worn that once, so it's just a lot of effort for one showing. The recent one I did was the Wonder Woman from the movie. That was a corset that I had bought and then had someone modify the appearance of it, and then I did all the rest of the bits and bobs for that. So it tends to be a mix. I know where my limits are, so I tend to outsource to friends to fill in the gaps. My claim to fame is that when I was in London for the Fast Loaders concert, I wore a dress that was a Tetris dress. It was inspired by Tetris, so it had the Tetris blocks on it. Nice. And that was made for me by someone who also designs clothes for Katy Perry. Ooh. So that was my claim to fame, and I did not pay Katy Perry prices for it. And I'm determined I'm going to wear that dress again when we meet next year for the concert.
You won the dress in a game of Tetris, I presume.
Yes, I got a Tetronemo or whatever they call it when you clear X amount of blocks, and that was how I won the dress. That's a great story, but yeah.
Another night.
Yeah, maybe another take.
Boz, get back on Slay Radio and get that story out.
No, don't talk to Boz about the Tetris dress. He has his own story about that, which is we won't discuss at this moment.
Okay. Well, then only a last question regarding your future plans or anything that we haven't mentioned.
I'm going to basically carry on what I'm doing at the moment, which is I've had been taking a break from doing broadcasting. I've been slowly insinuating myself back on the airways with Boz's show, and here tonight after I finally caved in and did this. And there was me thinking it was going to be difficult, and we might only talk for an hour.
Yeah.
So I plan to do some more appearances soon. I'm determined to do another one of those chill out shows on this very radio station if Slaygon will have me.
Never.
I'm going to probably do an appearance on Boz's station as well, and some other things. Probably a bit more twitching as well, but most important of all,
take your meds.
Take my meds.
Yeah, stop twitching.
And stop twitching and write some music. Well, not so much write some music, but actually record some music. Even if it's just a bit of piano, just to record something. So
that sounds awesome. Nice. Yeah, would love to hear more of your tracks, future tracks as well.
It's interesting in terms of remixes. I don't know what I would do at this moment. I don't have any inspiration. There's nothing burning in the back of my mind to say, oh, I must do a remix of that piece of music. There maybe is an Amiga piece of music, funny enough. I had something I was considering remixing. But on the 64, no. In the back of my mind, I would love to do a cover or two of music from Ghouls and Ghosts. But Tim Fallon's music is a nightmare of construction, because the guy's work was just amazing. And his time signatures caused my brain to fail, basically. But I would love to do some of his work. But who knows? Who knows?
Oh, you want to do a Knucklebusters, I heard you say.
I would love to do Knucklebusters, but I would love to more perform a Knucklebusters. I'd love to get together with some musicians and perform it. Even though I'd be torn between wanting to play the bass, as in the bass guitar, or using a really nasty, cantankerous sounding bass instrument on the keyboard instead. But that would be something I'd like to do. I'd love to perform that.
That would be nice.
Indeed. Would be excellent.
So, what do we have for next week, or the remainder of this week, rather?
Okay, so if there are no any last words, of course.
There might be.
Any last words?
Last words, yeah.
I have not.
Freeze up again.
I would, I'll freeze up. I would say to you, thank you very much for having me on, and it's been a blast talking to you. It's quite funny as well, because I know that we discussed all the things we might talk about, and I know we've touched on approximately 20% of those.
No, it's all fine. As I said, it's just a little guideline to help us to remember all the things that we can talk about. So
just gives room for another one of these.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. So never mind that. And we are really grateful to have you here. It was seriously a blast, as you said. And I definitely hope that at one point we will continue. I guess maybe earliest at the symphonic concert next year. So that would be awesome.
That's February, March, April, May, June. That's like 5 and a bit months away.
Yeah, exactly. And it will just pass as it is. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be great.
And hopefully the albums will be out by that time.
Oh yeah, that would be also nice to know about. So indeed, thank you very much also for your time, because we robbed like almost 3 hours of your time at the moment. So
sorry
about
that.
You're very welcome. It's just so long as I wasn't rambling and speaking strange utterances.
We didn't hear such things.
Did you not? Okay, that's all right then. As long as I'm not like any other previous broadcaster who's been on this station before.
Oh, never. What was that? That you wouldn't talk about?
I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, Slaygon.
Of course you don't.
Okay, so for this week, we know for a fact that we will have Boz on Boz Radio tomorrow. And
Hump Show.
Yeah, the Hump Show. And I don't know, after this night, Kate might be not, or might be there.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I've got to do that tomorrow as well, haven't I? God's sake.
My goodness. Busy week.
For you.
Again, sorry. Indeed. So, looks like the two of you tomorrow. And on Slay Radio, Gazoo scheduled the show for 22nd of December. And
excellent.
I think that
that's Saturday, isn't it?
Yes, Saturday. And guess what? It's 8 Slay Radio time. So it's like a normal schedule time, which is, it's not 12 and not in the morning. So that's
unusual
cool.
for Gazoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's usually weird places on the planet.
Probably not this time. And Craig Sultima might do a show on Thursday. He didn't edit it yet. I know. My English is getting just worse and worse by the time. So
no Brian Boz Radio or Z Duda?
Hang on. gotta check this scrolling thing.
You have a schedule thing.
Yeah,
over there
I do
as well.
have a schedule thing as well. I know. The Z Factor. Oh, hang on. It's almost at the same time as Gazoo. So they are interfering with each other on Saturday,
Oh my God.
22nd of December. So everyone can decide if they listen to Gazoo or Z-Duder. And the B Word with Bry on Sunday, 23rd of December, right before Christmas. Was so at 7 UTC or 8 Central European Time. Or whatever local time. Yes, we think. So, yeah, I really think that we should say goodbye. Poor Kate is
her head is on the table and there's some...
Yeah, exactly.
Her left side of the face is filled with some sort of gooey stuff.
What? You do know Boswank is listening, right?
Oh shit! Sorry.
Indeed.
Gazoo, fuck you. Probably go for Z-Duder. He says no. Gazoo does something interesting with his shows. He has a YouTube channel as well, where he does chat and things, live interaction. Plan Mix Play is the YouTube channel for his show. So head over there and have a look. He have them recorded and all that shit. Z-Duder, of course, playing good 60s onwards. Good music. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the choices.
The small eggs, they are feeling very, very unloved.
I do remember that show.
Those poor, small, unloved eggs.
Yes. I do remember that show, though. That was fun.
I don't, but this quote takes it all. It does everything. Thank you so much for those as well.
You bastards sent her all of them.
I may have sent a few choice selections.
Okay, then. Thank you once again, and have a very good night, and meet you soon, and see you soon. Indeed.
Yeah, for sure. Night-night.
In night-night. Slaygon, did you line up?
Yes, I did.
Did you line up?
Of course I did.
Okay, excellent.
If you can kill the bed, we can play the song for
play
Kate.
the song. Poor Kate.
Let's play it for Kate. Here is your Jamie Maxwell and Last Ninja main theme for classical guitar. Good night, folks. See ya.
Good night, everyone.